in the hands of the people. But Egyptian refugees describe a bloody massacre on Thursday, which left many dead.
I was in Zawiya's Martyrs Square. There was a group of army men in the square who attacked the protesters. It was a very fierce confrontation. They were using heavy weapons, at least 15 to 20 dead, and I had footage of what happened, but the Libyan authorities on the border took my phone. Gaddafi wants to commit a crime with the absence of any media.
The problem for journalists right now is that this is as close as we can get to Western Libya. We have to rely on first-hand accounts of people coming across this border, many of them too frightened to talk about what's happening there. There are still very few Libyans crossing into Tunisia. Most of these people are Egyptian migrant workers who fear reprisals from Gaddafi forces if they ever return. Libya is where they found work and built their lives. They now have an uncertain future. Nazanin Bashiri, Al Jazeera, on the Tunisian-Libyan border.
Tribes in Libya's west are said to be rallying behind the uprising. Ali Taher is with the Alliance for the Western Mountain Area. He claims the whole country is united in its aim of deposing Gaddafi.
There is no danger because the whole country is unified. They're united. Yes, it's a tribal society, but there is no fear there. Now with Facebook and the internet access, people are getting more educated. A lot of Libyans, go into the internet and see the world. They know about democracy and they want it here. They want it at home. Me myself, I studied abroad. I saw what the democracy is all about, and they just want to change this tyrant regime, this dictatorship that lasts for 42 years. People just can't fathom this. And they cannot fathom the fact that a guy who claims that he's not president for 42 years, and at the end of it, instead of sanctioning people, he's calling them rodents and hiring mercenaries to come off because they said no after 42 years.
Henry Schuller is a retired U.S. diplomat who once worked in Benghazi and pushed for sanctions against the Libyan government. He joins me now from Washington, D.C. Mr. Schuller, the United States appears to have had quite a change of heart in the past 24 hours. 24 hours ago, the White House was telling us that it's up to the Libyan people to decide whether Colonel Gaddafi stays or goes. Now we're hearing from Secretary of State Clinton, and she says he should go. Why do you think there was that change of tune?
Well, I would like to salute the courage of the Libyan people for overthrowing the bloody tyrant after 42 years. And I'd like to add, more in sorrow than in anger, that it was accomplished without any timely demonstration of American support for their aspirations. And to the extent that it's changed, I think we need to see more demonstration, less proclamation. There are certainly things that the United States can do that are not hung up over negotiations with allies, with the UN. I'm all for that, and they can pursue that, but there are things that they can do ahead of time on their own as the United States responding to the terrorist attacks over the years.
Why do you think the United States was dragging its feet over this?
Well, it's certainly possible that the Obama administration inherited a terrible situation that had been created by the Bush administration in letting Gaddafi off the hook in 2004.
Well, do you think that the current measures which are now being implemented against Colonel Gaddafi and the sanctions which are being discussed in the United Nations as we speak right now, do you think they're going to have the required effect?
No, I think it's a fool's errand to think that they're going to persuade Gaddafi to back off or persuade his diehard supporters to leave him. That's not going to happen. He said he's going to shed his last drop of blood in Libya, and I think he has every intention of doing so. What the United States should be doing is make sure that a lot of other Libyan blood is not shed as well. And there are things that can be done. There certainly is the possibility of providing a no-fly zone. There's a possibility of disrupting electronically the command and control systems of the Libyan forces. There's a possibility of accomplishing a great deal, sharing intelligence, for example, with the Libyans so that he cannot attempt to strike back in any way.
Should he and would he be tried for crimes against humanity?
I think he'll be dead before that opportunity ever arises. And he certainly should be tried for a great many crimes against his people, but I don't think that's going to be the way it resolves. I think he and probably his sons will go down with him.
Do you think that, well, as you've been saying, you know, he will fight to the end, so is it likely then we're going to see a lot more bloodshed in Libya?
It's certainly possible if the United States does not follow up with its proclamations with some concrete action that can be taken. We will be doing it, whether it's under the guise of the UN or NATO or whoever it is. It'll be the United States that has to do it. We don't need to ask Berlusconi for his advice in this respect.
You know, it wasn't that long ago that Colonel Gaddafi was brought in from the cold, if I can put it that way, when he was sort of welcomed back into the community of nations because he decided to give up any kind of weapons development program because he said that he would continue supplying the West with oil. Was that a big mistake?
That was a horrendous mistake. And time will tell whether it was accomplished by a clear assessment of American strategic interests, or was it done to get the oil companies back into Libya or to promote the re-election campaign of George W. Bush?
Okay, so we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, moving on to other news, an Ireland looks set for a Fine Gael Labour coalition following Friday's election. One party plans to negotiate a compromise on the terms of Ireland's billion-dollar bailout. We'll have more on that in a moment.
Unpopular with some at home, untested overseas. The first year has not been easy for David Cameron and his coalition government. In conjunction with U2, Al Jazeera asks your questions to the British Prime Minister. World View, an interview with David Cameron at this time on Al Jazeera.
As geeks take on dictators, bloggers turn dissidents, and social networks root for social justice, governments are going cyber, spying on their citizens, erecting firewalls like iron curtains, and closing down websites. We ask, is cyber-generated change virtual or real? Empire at this time on Al Jazeera.
See the world from every angle and every side. Al Jazeera.
Welcome back. The top story on Al Jazeera. In his strongest words yet to the Libyan leader, US President Barack Obama has called for Colonel Muammar Gaddafi to leave now. It comes as the United Nations Security Council meets to consider measures against Gaddafi's government, and there is said to be discord over what form the draft resolution will take. Libya's ex-Justice Minister Mustafa Mohammed Abu al-Jalil says he's going to help form an interim government based in Benghazi. China has stepped up its efforts to get more than 30,000 of its citizens from Libya as the crisis escalates. A ferry carrying more than 2,000 Chinese workers arrived in Malta on Saturday. Cal Perry was there to meet them.
Weary faces tell the story of a difficult journey across rough waters. These 2,000 workers were just evacuated from Benghazi and brought here to Malta. An unusual scene as a Chinese flag is unfurled on an Italian ship in a European harbor.
My two best friends, they're still upstairs in this cruise. They were sick. They couldn't get off the bed because in the past one day and night this journey in the sea, it's really tough for us. The ship is shaking really badly, and they throw up a lot of times, and they headache. They didn't eat anything in the whole day and night.
Doesn't matter.
Maltese authorities tend to those who are most in need. Others huddle inside, eating hot food brought fresh for them. The smiles of those who have just arrived reflect only the relief of being somewhere safe, but memories of what these workers fled from come rushing back.
People, they come in to attack us. They use the steel bar, this knife like this long, and they hijacked our trucks, cranes, and every machine and materials they can get. Look at my face. This is. I hope my mom and dad won't see me like this, but we just been through a lot of, and it's a tough week.
Now, in safe waters, everyone's trying to find a signal, eager to both receive information and let their loved ones know they've gotten out safely.
While the Chinese workers are being offloaded from this ship and taken to the airport to catch a flight home, you can see behind me the HMS Cumberland preparing to go back to Benghazi and carry out further evacuations. Cal Perry, Al Jazeera, aboard the cruise Roma in Malta.
Three people have been killed in the Tunisian capital during clashes with security forces. Soldiers used tear gas to disperse protesters who threw stones and burned tires. A government official blames the unrest in Tunis on supporters of ousted President Ben Ali. At least 12 people were injured and about 100 others arrested. Yemen's president has suffered a setback, with several powerful tribal chiefs announcing their support for anti-government movements. They include leaders from the Hashid tribe, considered to be the country's most powerful. Hashem Ahalbara has more from Sana'a.
A prominent leader of Yemen's most powerful tribe, Hashid, has announced he's endorsing the anti-government movement. Hussein Abdullah al-Ahmar leads a family which runs a vast financial empire and has a huge political influence in Yemen. Importantly, Hashid is also the tribe of the president, Ali Abdullah Saleh. Ahmar's resignation from the General People's Congress, the latest in a cascade of defections from the president's ruling party and inner circle.